Hello students, let us start with digestion and absorption of protein. Diet must provide proteins for growth, turnover of tissue proteins and as a source of metabolic fuel. So what is digestion? Digestion of is conversion of complex organic molecule into simple ones so that they are made water soluble and then absorbed. So proteins are converted into small peptides and then converted into amino acids so that they are absorbed in the intestine. There are two sources of proteins to be digested, and these are one is exogenous source and another is endogenous source. Exogenous source or dietary source contributes for 40 to 60 grams of proteins per day, whereas endogenous source contributes for 20 to 40 grams of proteins per day. Now, dietary source can be divided into animal source and plant source. The animal source proteins obtained are milk and milk products, eggs, fish, meat and chicken. Then proteins obtained from plant sources are from pulses and nuts. What are endogenous proteins? Endogenous proteins subjected to digestion are proteins from the secretions in digestive juices and the proteins present in the desquamated epithelial cells. The efficiency of this digestion of the protein is very high. It is very high, and almost all the proteins which is subjected to digestion is absorbed, and with only small amount, minimal amount is excreted in the feces. And this protein present in feces is contributed by microorganisms present in the gut, then mucus secreted by colon, and very small quantity by shaded intestinal epithelial cells. Now, when we consume dietary proteins, we cook them. Cooking makes proteins denatures. There occur denaturation of protein. So this is native form of protein which is folded and form a globular structure. Now, what this denaturation occurs, then what happens? Secondary, tertiary and quaternary bonds are broken down. The coils are open up. As secondary, tertiary and quaternary structures are broken down, these peptide coils are open up. Now, these are easily attacked by peptidases, the compound or the enzymes which can digest the proteins. So, proteins are broken down or digested by hydrolysis of peptide linkages, and the enzymes belong to the class hydrolases. So it is class 3 in enzyme classification, and these hydrolases which break down the peptide bonds are called as peptidases. They are called as peptidases. Now, all these peptidases are secreted as zymogen or proenzyme. Zymogen or proenzyme. And why it is so? If peptidases are secreted as such from the cell, they will try to digest the cellular protein itself, and this will lead to auto-digestion of the cell. They will engulf or digest the cell itself, cellular protein, by digesting cellular proteins. So, this needs to be prevented. So, the protein or peptidases are secreted as zymogens or inactive proenzymes. which are later activated in the gut. So there are two types of peptidases. One is endopeptidases and second is exopeptidases. Endopeptidases, as the name suggests, it cleaves peptide bonds which are present inside the polypeptide molecules. So it will hydrolyze these peptide bonds, thereby releasing smaller peptide fragments. The endopeptidases are, the examples of endopeptidases are pepsin, trypsin, chymotrypsin, etc. Whereas exopeptidases, as the name suggests, they cleave one amino acid at a time at the terminal. They will act on the terminal amino acid. They will cleave this bond present attached to the terminal amino acid and take out one amino acid at a time. As you know, there are two terminals. One is N terminal and another is C terminal, or amino terminal and carboxy terminal in the peptide link. So there are two types of exopeptidases. One is aminopeptidases, which will act on the amino terminal amino acid and take one amino acid at a time, cleave one amino acid at a time. One is amino peptidases and second is carboxypeptidases. Now this carboxypeptidases will attack the peptide bond present attached to the amino acid that is present at a carboxy terminal end, taking away one amino acid at a time from carboxy terminal end. When we consume proteins are taken by mouth. In buccal cavity or in mouth, there is no proteolytic enzyme. So protein now enters into the stomach. In stomach, protein digestion takes place. The gastric juice contains, in its secretion contains one, hydrochloric acid, and second, a proteolytic enzyme called as a pepsin in the form of pepsinogen. So hydrochloric acid is secreted by parietal cells of the gastric glands. The functions, hydrochloric acid maintains the pH less than 2 in the stomach. The functions of hydrochloric acid are: number one, it denatures the protein, denaturation of the protein. Second is killing of microorganisms that are present in the food. Third is it activates pepsinogen, it converts pepsinogen to pepsin. And third one, activation. And last is it provides proper pH for activity of pepsin. Proper pH. Now coming to this proteolytic enzyme, pepsin. It is secreted by serous cell and in the form of zymogen or proenzyme pepsinogen. Now this pepsinogen is converted to pepsin with the help of hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid will activate pepsinogen into pepsin. How it is activated? See, there is an active site on pepsin which is masked by some amino acid in the amino acid sequence that is present in pepsinogen. If this sequence of amino acid which is masking the active site is removed, then this enzyme become active and called as a pepsin. And same 42 amino acids are taken out by cleavage initially by hydrochloric acid, and once pepsin is formed, it will convert activation of pepsinogen to pepsin. Autoactivation. So this pepsin preferentially cleaves the peptide bonds which are present or contributed by amino acids, which aromatic amino acids like tyrosine, tryptophan and phenylalanine. Also, branch chain amino acid, isoleucine and leucine, and also methionine. So, pepsin acts on peptide bonds that is contributed by aromatic amino acid, tyrosine, tryptophan, phenylalanine, isoleucine, leucine and methionine. Pepsin digestion of protein results in small peptide molecules and some amino acids. These amino acids will lead to secretion of cholecystokinin from the duodenum. Again, there is one more enzyme present in the stomach that is called as renin. Renin is present in infants and children, and its quantity decreases as the age increases. So, what is the action of renin? Renin converts casein from the milk to calcium paracasinate. And this calcium paracasinate is easily acted upon by pepsin, and then pepsin will cleave this molecule calcium paracasinate. As age increases, quantity of renin decreases. This is all about digestion in stomach. Coming to pancreatic digestion, the proteases in the pancreatic juice are secreted as proenzyme and then are converted to active forms. This process of are initiated by release of two polypeptide hormones. One is cholecystokinin, which helps in release of enzymes of protein digestion in pancreatic juice. And second is secretin, which activates secretion of water and bicarbonates. Now, specificity of action of pancreatic proteases. The gastric HCl is neutralized by NaCO3 secreted in the intestine, and it creates a favorable pH for pancreatic proteases. And what are the pancreatic proteases? They are trypsin, chymotrypsin, elastase and carboxypeptidases. They are further A and B. So these three are endopeptidases. Trypsin, chymotrypsin, elastase is an endopeptidase, whereas carboxypeptidase is the exopeptidase. Trypsin is released as trypsinogen. It is acted upon by enteropeptidases to convert it into trypsin. Now trypsin is active form, and trypsin catalyzes hydrolysis of peptide bonds attached to lysine and arginine. Now chymotrypsin is secreted as chymotrypsinogen, and chymotrypsinogen is acted upon by trypsin to convert active enzyme chymotrypsin. And chymotrypsin is specific for aromatic amino acid, peptide bond contributed by aromatic amino acid, that is tyrosine, tryptophan and phenylalanine. Also it break peptide bonds contributed by methionine. Then elastase is secreted as proelastase. Proelastase is acted upon by trypsin to convert it into elastase. Elastase will specifically hydrolyze the peptide bonds contributed by alanine, glycine and serine. Alanine, glycine and serine. Now carboxypeptidases. Carboxypeptidases are the metalloenzymes dependent on the zinc for their catalytic activity. These are of two types, carboxypeptidase A and carboxypeptidase B. The carboxypeptidase A cleaves the peptide bonds that from the carboxyl terminal that is contributed by alanine, leucine and valine. Alanine, leucine and valine. See, the carboxy terminal amino acid is if alanine or leucine or valine it is cleaved by carboxypeptidase A, and carboxypeptidase B will specifically remove the amino acid arginine and lysine. Arginine or lysine. One amino acid at a time at carboxy terminal A. So, the combined action of these peptidases is release of amino acid and small peptides of 2 to 8 amino acid in length. Now, from pancreatic juice, from the second part of the duodenum, food moves further and now digestion by small intestinal enzymes. This small intestine contains on the brush border of the mucosal cells, on the brush border of the mucosal cells are enzymes called as aminopeptidases. Peptidases and dipeptidases. So, aminopeptidases are the exopeptidases that will take out one amino acid from the amino terminal end. These are non-specific, so they will take one amino acid at amino terminal end one at a time. And dipeptidases will break dipeptide molecule into amino acids. Coming to absorption of amino acid and dipeptides, the free amino acids and dipeptides are to some extent tripeptides are absorbed by the intestinal epithelial cells. Absorption of amino acid, the transport system of amino acid are stereospecific for L-amino acid. There are three systems. One is sodium dependent. Secondary active transport. The active transport linked with the transport of sodium. There is a single transporter molecule which will transport sodium. Sodium is dragged inside the cell because of there is a concentration gradient. Sodium is high in the gut, low inside the intestinal cell, and hence sodium is taken inside. Along with sodium, there occurs the active transport of amino acid. So amino acid is transported by secondary active transport, and energy required for this process is taken by sodium potassium ATPase indirectly. As sodium is continuously pumped out by sodium potassium ATPase, there occurs a concentration gradient of sodium. Hence, sodium is dragged inside from the gut along with amino acid, and this way amino acids are absorbed in the intestinal cell. This is sodium dependent secondary active transport, and there are at least 4 transport systems for different systems for neutral amino acid, dibasic amino acid, dicarboxylic amino acid and amino acid. Second is sodium independent facilitated diffusion. One is sodium dependent, second is sodium independent. Sodium independent facilitated diffusion, and this is for neutral and neutral and basic amino acids. The third type of transport system is called as gamma glutamyl cycle. Gamma glutamyl cycle or Minster cycle. Minster cycle. Minster cycle. It involves tripeptide, namely glutathione. What is glutathione? It is gamma glutamyl cysteine glycine. Gamma glutamyl cysteine glycine. 3 ATPs are utilized for the transport of single amino acid by this cycle. This cycle operates at a rapid transport of cysteine and glutamine. What are the steps involved in this cycle, Minster cycle? See, there occur gamma glutamyl transferase. The amino acid is taken up by this alright, I will write it here. Gamma glutamyl transferase. Amino acid is taken inside, and from glutathione, gamma glutamyl group is attached to this amino acid to form gamma glutamyl amino acid. At the same time, cysteine glycine is released. Cysteine glycine is released. From this, glycine and cysteine are liberated. Now, what happens to gamma glutamyl amino acid in the cytosol? In the cytosol, amino acid is liberated and gamma glutamyl is converted into 5-oxyproline. 5-oxyproline. Now, 5-oxyproline is converted into glutamate. This is glutamate. This is energy requiring process. ATP is converted into ADP. Now, glutamate combines with cysteine to form gamma glutamyl cysteine. Gamma glutamyl cysteine. In the reaction again, ATP is utilized to form ADP, and this gamma glutamyl cysteine incorporates glycine in it, and thereby glutathione is synthesized. Again, one ATP is converted into ADP. This cycle is for rapid transport of cysteine and glutamine. What are the steps involved? We'll just recollect. Amino acid with the help of gamma glutamyl transferase is converted into gamma glutamyl amino acid, and gamma glutamyl is contributed by glutathione, which is gamma glutamyl cysteine glycine. As gamma glutamine is separated from it, cysteine glycine is released, which is further broken down to glycine and cysteine. The gamma glutamine amino acid releases amino acid in the cytosol, and gamma glutamine molecule is converted into 5-oxyproline. 5-oxyproline is converted to glutamate with the help of ATP. Glutamate combines with cysteine to form gamma-glutamyl cysteine with the help of ATP, and gamma-glutamyl cysteine with the help of ATP incorporate glycine to form glutathione, and the same cycle repeats. Absorption of intact proteins and large peptides. This is for immunity as well as this is for allergy. Immediately after birth, for the short period of small intestine can absorb intact proteins, and this is very important for digestion of maternal immunoglobulins. The uptake of protein occurs by a process called as endocytosis or pinocytosis. What happens? There occur formation of a vesicle, and there occur then internalization of vesicle, thereby this process is called as pinocytosis or endocytosis. The direct absorption of intact protein is very important for the transport of maternal immunoglobulin, that is gamma globulin, to the offspring. The intact proteins and polypeptides are not absorbed by the adult intestine. However, the macromolecular absorption of certain individuals appears to be responsible for antibody formation, and that often causes food allergy. Derived from gluten from the wheat may be absorbed. Peptides are absorbed from the intestinal mucosal cell and elicit immunological response, and this is called as a celiac disease. Celiac disease. So, intact peptides are important for, in case of children, infants and children's or infants, for absorption of gamma globulins, immunoglobulins from the maternal milk. And in case of adults, it is the polypeptides that are 6 to 7 amino acid length. These are derived from gluten from the wheat, and it causes allergy. The disease is called as celiac disease. Now, abnormalities of protein digestion and amino acid digestion are any defect in the pancreas, pancreatitis, or cystic fibrosis, or surgical removal of pancreas. This leads to improper digestion of proteins as well as lipid. So, some peptides are released in the feces along with abnormally digested fats. There is one disease called as a Hartnups disease. Also called as neutral amino aciduria. Neutral amino aciduria. So what happens? As the name suggests, there is a secretion of neutral amino acid. So what is the problem? It is characterized by inability of intestinal and renal epithelial cells to absorb neutral amino acids. And which neutral amino acids are not absorbed? Tryptophan, alanine, serine, threonine, etc. Tryptophan, alanine, serine, threonine, etc. So tryptophan absorption is most affected, and absorption is affected at the intestinal level as well as renal level. Tryptophan absorption is most affected. Tryptophan cannot now be converted into NAD and NADP. It is not converted, as there is less availability of tryptophan, there is paucity of NAD and NADP, and so there are symptoms of pellagra, that is dementia, dermatitis and diarrhea. The treatment includes diet that should be with excess in neutral amino acid and supplementation of nicotinamide, which can correct this condition. These are about diseases of digestion and absorption. A small part there occurs cellular digestion of protein. Why cellular digestion of protein should occur? Because proteins are in dynamic state. The proteins are broken down, new proteins are synthesized, and they are always in the dynamic state. So some enzymes help in breakdown of this protein for or intracellular digestion of protein, and these are known as cathepsin and lysosomal enzymes. These are important for maintaining the dynamic rate of degradation of this protein to be maintained and protein to be kept in dynamic state. In some pathological condition like cancer, these these and lysosomal enzymes are released into extracellular space, and this lead to it will destroy extracellular matrix, and this is believed that damage to the extracellular matrix may result in the cancer, so that cancer cells can grow freely.